We all have a whole chorus of inner critics, all like, you're not good enough. What if you mess up? People will judge you.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there's the external pressures too, right? It's those comments from people, maybe well-meaning but discouraging, you know? Then there's societal expectations, that whole play it safe mentality.
Ugh, it's like everyone's got an opinion on what you should be doing, and suddenly your own vision gets lost in all the smoke.
And it's crazy how those outside voices can become internalized, like they just add more fuel to that fire.
So what happens when we start feeling the heat, like actually getting closer to that fire?
Welcome to the Deep Dive, an intense exploration of how you show up in life, business, and relationships, and how they're all connected in the infinite thread that is you. So let's get into the dive. Here's your hosts, Marcus and Nara.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. I'm Marcus Harrison.
And I'm Nara Daniels.
Let's get started. You ever just get hit with this vision of where your life could be? Like, it's exciting, but also kind of scary. We're looking at some work by Coach Dan Gordon on that today, and it's really insightful.
Oh, definitely. His approach to bridging that gap, super interesting.
So what's his take?
Well, he uses this metaphor of a fire. You know, there's this fire between where you are now and where you want to be.
Fire. That sounds kind of intense.
Right, but I think that's the point. It captures that emotional intensity, you know? It's not just about the distance. It's all the fear and pressure and doubt that comes up when you try to actually move forward.
So I'm on one side, my dream life's on the other, and there's this bonfire of anxiety in the middle.
Exactly. And he breaks it down even further, like what's actually fueling that fire. So internally, it's all that fear of failing, the self-doubt, that voice saying, you're not ready.
Oh man, I know that feeling. Like a whole chorus of inner critics, all like, you're not good enough. What if you mess up? People will judge you.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there's the external pressures too, right? It's those comments from people, maybe well-meaning but discouraging, you know? Then there's societal expectations, that whole play it safe mentality.
Ugh, it's like everyone's got an opinion on what you should be doing, and suddenly your own vision gets lost in all the smoke.
And it's crazy how those outside voices can become internalized, like they just add more fuel to that fire.
So what happens when we start feeling the heat, like actually getting closer to that fire?
Well, Coach Dan says a lot of times we retreat, go right back to that comfort zone where it's safe.
Ah, I see. But then doesn't that just keep happening? Like we want something, feel the heat, retreat, and the whole cycle just starts over.
Exactly. And we get stuck, you know? That fear of the unknown just feels bigger than whatever might be waiting on the other side.
Leaving us feeling, unfulfilled? Even resentful, maybe.
Could be, yeah. And there's this thing called a pattern interrupt, a way to break that cycle.
Okay, so how do we do that? Like, how do we actually interrupt that pattern?
He talks about bringing in someone supportive, a mentor, a coach, maybe just a close friend, someone to help navigate that fire.
I like that. So not forcing you through, but more like having someone there with you, offering encouragement.
Yeah, exactly. That support can make all the difference, especially as you step into the uncomfortable. And here's where it gets really interesting. When you actually enter the fire, something pretty amazing happens.
Wait, so walking through that fire of fear and doubt is actually the key. That seems counterintuitive.
It does, right. But hear me out. That fire is a hologram, an illusion. It's the fear itself holding you back, not the actual situation.
So you're saying once you take that first step, the fire doesn't actually burn you.
Pretty much. The fear tends to fade once you actually take action, and you realize it wasn't as bad as you imagined, and then as you move through it, you gain confidence.
That makes sense. It's like when you finally face something you've been afraid of, and you realize it was all in your head.
Yeah, and that's where the real growth starts to happen. You start to realize that. You know that vision of where you want to be. It doesn't seem so far away anymore.
Oh, interesting. So it's like as you move through the fire, the gap starts to close.
Exactly. Those 2 points, where you are and where you want to be, they kind of merge.
Wait, merge. So you're saying it's not even about reaching that destination. It's about something else entirely.
It's about, this is a journey, right? It's not like you reach this fixed point and then you're done.
It's about evolving, like constantly becoming a better version of yourself.
Exactly. And you know, it's cool. He says, once you've actually gone through this, like you faced a fear, walked through that fire, come out the other side, the next time something similar comes up,
the fire's not as intense.
Exactly. Those voices of doubt, they're quieter. The pressure from outside doesn't feel so heavy.
It's like you've done it before, so you know you can handle it.
Right, like you've leveled up in a video game, you know. You gain experience, unlock new abilities.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But there's still this part of me that's like easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Like taking that first step, walking into that fire, it's still scary.
Absolutely. What are you going to do as you approach that fire? Like as you move into the middle?
Ooh, that's a powerful question. It's not sugarcoating it. It's facing it head on.
Yeah. And he doesn't just leave us hanging. He suggests finding support, like a coach, mentor, friend, someone who can guide you through those tough emotions.
It's like having a Sherpa for your personal growth journey, right?
Yeah.
They know the terrain. They can help you navigate.
And you know what I keep coming back to? His emphasis on becoming. Not achieving, but becoming.
He even says, where you are becomes who you are becoming, which is such a beautiful way to put it, don't you think?
It really is. It's like we're always in flux, always on this path to becoming a more fully realized version of ourselves.
Like we're constantly leveling up, gaining experience, unlocking new potentials. And the fires we face, they become less about obstacles and more about opportunities for growth.
Exactly. It's not about avoiding the fire. It's about learning how to walk through it and emerge stronger.
And remembering, you don't have to do it alone. Having that support, whether it's a coach, mentor, or friend, can make such a difference.
Absolutely. So what about you? Have any of these ideas really resonated with you personally?
You know, one thing that really struck me is his focus on how fear can become this like repeating pattern, you know? We get stuck in this loop of wanting something, then the fear kicks in and we retreat right back to where we started.
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to fall into that trap. I think we've all been there.
Yeah, and then we end up feeling even more stuck, you know? Like disappointed in ourselves for not going after what we want.
Right. But I think it's that point about the fire being a hologram that really stuck with me.
Oh yeah, what was that about again?
It's like the fear itself is what's holding us back, not the actual situation. Our perception is creating this huge obstacle, but it's not necessarily real.
So once we take action, the fear kind of melts away.
Exactly. We realize, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And the more we face those fears, the less power they have over us.
And that leads back to that question he asked, you know, what are you going to do as you approach the fire? That really hit home for me.
Yeah, it's a powerful question. Makes you think about how you're actually going to handle those feelings of fear and uncertainty.
And he's not saying ignore the fear, right? He's saying acknowledge it, but then choose to move forward anyway.
Right. It's about making a conscious choice. Do I let the fear control me, or do I take control and move through it?
So thinking about our listener right now, what fire are they facing in their own life?
Yeah, what's that thing they desire? That vision of where they want to be that's creating a little bit of heat right now.
It could be anything, really. A career change, a creative project, improving a relationship, anything that's both exciting and maybe a little intimidating.
And what are those voices saying to them as they approach that fire? What fears, doubts, or pressures are holding them back?
Because doing nothing guarantees that nothing will change. But taking even a small step forward, acknowledging the fear and choosing to move through it anyway, well, that can ignite the process of becoming who they truly want to be.
That's the key, right? Taking action, even if it's just a small step, it can make such a huge difference. And it's important to remember, you don't have to go through it alone. Reaching out for support from a coach, a mentor, or a good friend can be incredibly helpful.
So to our listener, we really encourage you to think about your own fire. What's one small step you can take today to move through it? Where you are becomes who you are becoming. It's all about that journey, that constant evolution.
And that's what makes it so exciting, right? We're always growing, always becoming. And who knows what amazing things await us on the other side of that fire.
We hope you enjoyed the deep dive. Subscribe to the podcast for more deep dives as Nara and Marcus traverse the infinite exploration into the mind and soul of you. We'll see you next time on The Dive.